Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this link. So today we're going to be reviewing the MacBook Air 11-inch 2015 edition, and we're going to compare it to the older model from 2014. So we're going to do a series of tests. We're going to see how fast it boots. We're going to see how well it runs in games. That was my biggest question. How well does it run versus the HD5000 versus the 6000? I really wanted to know. A few channels were saying that it makes not that big of a difference and that, hey, HD5000, 6000, that's integrated, so it's bad. I disagree. I think the HD6000 is going to be great, and here's why. Take a look. So we'll do a boot test first, then we'll do Counter-Strike stress test, which will show us the FPS increase from the old to the new, and then we're also going to do the same thing for League of Legends. I'm going to run both games. I'm going to have them side by side. We're going to see how much frames you're going to get in both the old 2014 and the new 2015 HD5000 versus 6000. Alright guys, take a look.
So this is going to be a quick boot test of the MacBook Air 11-inch 2015 versus 2014 with Windows 7 versus Windows 8. So I pressed both buttons. Alright, it's booting up. Both made their boot sounds. Windows 8 definitely is going to boot a lot quicker. We've already done the test, so I can tell you now. Yeah, it basically boots in like 10 seconds or less, and Windows 7 takes about twice as long. So as you can see here, the model on the left, which is the older generation model, the 2014 MacBook Air, is running at higher gigahertz speeds, and it's running Windows 7, and it's running at about 2.4 to 1.6 gigahertz. So on average, it's running faster on the older model, while the newer model, the 2015 MacBook Air 11-inch, running the new Windows, I think it has some extra optimizations in place. So it's running at 800 megahertz, as you can see, and that's good for battery, but probably not very good for performance. So we'll do a little bit more testing, see what we can find out. Also, there's some very significant color differences among the two screens. You get a very purplish type look on the newer MacBook Air on the right here. As you can see, it looks a lot kind of darker, and that's also a Windows thing. I haven't been able to make the brightness very dark. I don't know why. It's really odd. On the older variants, you can tweak the brightness pretty much all you want and change it any way you want. It looks a little better. I think the screen looks a little bit more accurate on the older model, actually, which is really weird to say, but I mean, that's the case. So we did a stress test, and like you guys saw earlier, the newer MacBook, the 2015 edition, runs slower because of the optimizations, and that's pretty big for performance. I mean, look at that. We see 63 frames on the new one, and we see 150 frames on the old one. And again, it's due to probably Windows 7 on the newer, or on the older model. Windows 7 does not have the optimizations in place, so it runs at full performance. And so we don't have the same thing going on with the 2015 edition. It just runs slower to save battery. Now what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the power, and we're going to see how well these units run side by side when they have enough power. And that's really good. That's where I believe the performance is going to shine. There's another thing I want to show you real quick. Another interesting thing to note is that there's a i7 in the 2015 variant to my right, and there's a i5 in my 2014 variant to my left. And this is funny because, you know, you just expect the difference in performance here because i7 should be a lot better. It's got the extra 1 megabyte cache, L3 cache, while the old version doesn't have that. And we're still just getting better performance. Again, I think it's due to optimization. One interesting thing to note when you click on the graphics tab, maybe this is just an error, but in the graphics tab it says we only have dedicated 1 gig of video RAM on the HD6000, while here on the older variants we almost have 2 gigs. So that's really odd. I don't know why they did that, so we'll find out. Okay, we got both variants plugged into power. As you can see, the brightness is still so much better on the older model. Okay, now with the power plugged in, we're seeing that the newer version to our right, the 2015 model, is running at higher clock speeds now. It's hitting that 3 gigahertz mark. It's idling at around 2.1, which is pretty good, and dropping down to about 900 megahertz, which is, I guess, normal because it's trying to save power. But in general, because the newer model jumping to 3 gigahertz, it should be much better performance, which we're going to test out right now. A really weird thing to note is that I left these computers on, completely idle. They're pretty much not doing anything, except I believe this one's downloading something. And after about 40 minutes, on the newer model, which is this one here, the fan just turned on, and it's on. I don't know why. Like, the computer's actually fairly warm in comparison to the older model, which again makes some sense because it's running at a higher gigahertz. So it's jumping to 3 gigahertz every now and then. Like, it's staying at 3 gigahertz now. I don't really know why, as the older model just really isn't. But like I said, I am just downloading League of Legends right now, do some testing. We're going to go ahead and launch both games here to see how fast they launch. Alright. It looks like it's pretty much the same. Maybe the newer one launched faster, but you can't really tell. But yeah, take a look at the colors. Really just notice there is a difference here. Let me see if I can position this. So yeah, a little bit more purplish on that side, and a little bit more gray on the left side. Let's see. New 2015 MacBook Air to your right, and on the left we got the 2014 MacBook Air. Both are the 11-inch models. So let's take a look and see how well they're going to perform in the video stress test. Alright, I'm going to make sure we press these at the same time. Alright. Alright, so both are plugged into power, and it's actually looking like, yeah, the newer model is performing much better with power connected into it. It's getting almost, oh gosh, almost like 30 to 50 frames more. And it's funny because when the newer model, the 2015 the MacBook Air is not plugged in to power, it performs half performance. When it is plugged in, it's performing about 30 to 60 more FPS. Right now, probably only about 20 to 30. And so it's changing here. Let's see. In this room, we're getting about 230 on the new and 180 on the old. And yeah, that's actually a pretty substantial difference. I started both at the same time, and as you can see, the new MacBook actually finished a lot quicker. So yeah, on the new MacBook Air, what we're seeing here is 173.94 FPS, while on the old it's 132. So we basically did tests where we kept testing them, and eventually the performance starts to fall a little bit because it's getting hot and it starts to throttle just a little bit. Although for Counter-Strike the throttling is not an issue, but that's a pretty big difference. I mean, we're basically getting 40 more frames per second in this particular test. When I was doing tests earlier, we literally had the frames per second it was 30% better pretty much consistently across the board with the new model here, which, I mean, that's great. But yeah, there's the newer model, like I was saying, 173 FPS. If you take a look here, it's 132. Oh man, this intro is hilarious. Got a hilarious intro on this one. Alright, so in this test, we're going to be testing League of Legends. I'm going to join a game. We're going to have both computers side by side so we can see exactly how much more frames per second we're getting. We're going to line them up, and we're just going to see how much better the newer model is. Stay tuned. Alright, so here we are in a game of League of Legends. I just went in the settings here, made sure everything was running the same. Um, Looks like we are at 1366 by 768, medium graphics for everything. Let's see, no anti-aliasing. So let's just take a look at what kind of frame rates we're getting here. Alright, so the frame rates are a little bit different right now. It looks like the newer computer on the right here is getting about 15 to 10 frames more. What we're going to do is we're going to meet up in the center of the map. Alright, so after having the graphics running for a little while on medium, we're getting about 70 frames on the old edition, the 2014 edition MacBook Air 11-inch. And on the new one, we're getting about 80 frames. Sometimes jumps to 90, but it's basically about 10 frames more on the newer model for League running on medium graphics. Now we're going to put the graphics a little bit higher. Okay, bring the graphics higher, applying them. It's loading. Warning, blah blah blah. You become yeah, shut up. Stupid thing. Okay. So now we have about 40 frames on the older model, 2014 model, 40 to 30, and we're getting about 40 to 50 on the newer one here. So let me just show you. So everything's on high. We're getting about 50 frames per second, dropping to about 45. On the old model, it's about 40 to 30. So I saw it drop to 30 for a little while. But yeah, it's a consistent about 10 frames more, which like 40 right now on the old one. And this was 50 a second ago, but see it's 47, 46. So yeah, if we go to an area that's going to be a little bit more intense, we should see a little bit more awesomeness. So again, on high graphics, we're getting about 40 frames on the old, and we're getting about 50 to 60 on the new, but that's at the fountain, so it's not rendering a lot. We're going to go to the center of the map where the action's going on to find out. 40 frames on the old, 50 frames on the new, pretty much about the same thing we're seeing here. So 43, 42, that was 50, now it's 49. Okay, then yeah, let's see. So okay, I'm going to play a game of League on the old 2014 MacBook Air 11-inch, and I'm going to play a game of League on the new 2015 11-inch MacBook Air, and I'm going to compare to see how much better is it really. Are the 8 to 10 frames per second difference, is it really a big deal? I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm going to play an actual game, and I'm going to tell you if it's worth it or not, because I mean, I play League on the 11-inch 2014 edition all the time, and now I just want to see, is this worth the upgrade? I'm going to let you guys know right now. So the new MacBook Air 11-inch 2015 edition runs the game pretty darn good. I'm pretty impressed with the HD6000. It really matters during intense moments. You have those extra 5-10 FPS. Like, really helps out. My first game, I actually did pretty darn good. 10 kills, 3 deaths, 11 assists. So next I'm going to try the old MacBook 2014 edition with HD5000 and compare the 5000 and the 6000 experience so that you guys know. Remember, both in high graphics. So yeah, you can play this on high graphics just fine. Works great. So I just got done playing a game of League on the old 2014 edition MacBook Air with the HD5000. The 11-inch, and yeah, it just, I don't know, it sucked. I actually had a few times where it dropped to 20 frames per second, which is really bad during intense gaming. So yeah, high graphics. Yeah, we lost. Take a look. So as you can see, 3 kills, 14 deaths, and 9 assists. So the HD5000 makes a huge difference. I mean, I jumped about 20 to 30 FPS
During intense moments in the 2014 MacBook Air edition with the HD5000, I was literally running. At some points, I was running at 20 to 30 FPS and during intense gaming, and I actually ended up losing that match. So, also on the HD6000, I was running pretty good at about 40 frames. Might drop to 30 sometimes, but I maintained 40 during intense moments, which is really good to know. That means that this is definitely worth the upgrade. If any of you have the HD5000 variant or HD4000, just go for it. The HD6000, it's going to run games better. You're going to be able to do that light gaming a lot more enjoyably. And for games like League of Legends, it really matters. Please, like my videos, because I can't make them more if you guys don't like them. So please like them if you can. Comment. I'm going to answer all your questions. If you guys want me to make a specific video, just let me know. I'll go ahead and I'll start working on it. And I'll answer everybody's questions. Yeah, thanks guys. I appreciate it.